Okay guys, our next lesson is going to be on numbers. Basically what numbers are, there's three forms of number data types in Swift and most programming languages. Actually there's more, but these are the three basic ones. Int, which are a numeric data type and use up 4 bytes of memory with a maximum number of 2,147,483,647, which is a huge number, but it's really nothing compared to the other ones. Next we have the float, which is a floating point number, which means it is a number that has a decimal place. These are usually used when more precision is needed, and the max number is 3.402 blah 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 e to the 38, which means it's a 3 with 38 numbers after it. So it's an insanely big number. And that doesn't even compare to what a double is. A double is a double precision floating point number, which is basically more precise than a float, and it uses 8 bytes of memory. The max number of a double is 1.8 e to the 308th, which is basically almost a 2 with 308 numbers after it. So it's insane. I don't know when these types of numbers are used. These are probably for very complex programs, but you can see that doubles can hold a lot of numbers, or big numbers. So we're going to start by going over inference numbers. So when we declare a data type, an int. So basically we can declare an int simply by almost very similar to the string, but except with numbers. So var int 1 equals, and we could just put a number 30, and that declares our number. Basically this is a type of int, this is the name of the int, and this is the number of the int. So it basically infers that it's an int because there's no decimal place after it, and it's not too precise, and Swift is defaulted to infer that if it doesn't have any of those features, it's just an int, which is a way to save memory, and instead of using like a double, which takes up a lot of 8 bytes of memory, it just uses an int, which takes up 4 bytes of memory. So it's gonna give us 30, and you could do this with literally any number. Oops. You could do var int 2 equals 60 equals 600, anything you want, and it gives you that number. And you can make any name you want to. Next we have declared ints, which basically, or declared numbers, which basically means that we declare what type of number, or like if we wanted to be an integer, a float, or double, we declare it. So let's say var int 3, and then you would put this, and let's say we want a float, you would put float equals 500.0, and there we have it, a float. Oh, sorry, we had to put a capital F. So there we have it, a float, which is 500.4. We can also just create we can create a double. All you do is the same thing, put a double in front, equals blah blah blah. We can make a huge number, whatever we want, and we'll have no problem. See, we wouldn't be able to do this if it was an int. It would be too large. See? Whoops. it says cannot convert value of type double to specified type because it's too big. Now if we want to change that number to something else, we would have to make it a double because it's declared as a double. So we're going to put 76, which is a double because it's basically, a double is basically just any number between its maximum, which this does fall into that. However, if we were to make this an int and wanted to change the number to something like a double, it wouldn't allow us because the number is way out of its range. This has to be a... See, it'll give us an error. Cannot assign value of type double to int because this is declared as an int. Int3 is declared as an int, and this number is a double. So int3 can never be a double when it's declared as an int. So that's just the basics on declared number types. Now we're just going to go over a few functions. Let's say we have a var num1 equals 10, then we have a var num1 equals 50. We can add these numbers by simply just using addition. Alright, I'm going to erase all this. Oh, whoops. Num2. So we're going to add these by using addition. So we're going to make a new num3 equals num1 plus num2. And that will give us 60. Yep, there we have it. So adding is extremely easy on Swift and basically any program. Same goes with subtraction. So we're going to make a num4 equals num2 minus num1, and that will give us 40. We can also multiply. Var num5 equals num2, and then just a star, which means times num1, and we should get 500. Yep. And we also have division. So num6 equals num2 divided by num1, and that will equal 5. So those are the basic functions that we can use in Swift in order to make calculations and whatever. I mean, this is very useful for apps, for basically any program, because every app is just filled with numbers everywhere. For example, if you're on your banking app, you're going to need to see your numbers of how much money is in your bank account, how much money you withdraw, how much money you added, anything. And then if you have like a fitness app, you got to see how much weight you've lost within time or whatever, or how many calories you need to intake, all this type of stuff. Everything in apps is fundamentally numbers. So here we have another function that is very useful. We're going to make new numbers. Number 7 equals, let's say, 17, and then var number 8 equals 10. So whenever you divide something that has a remainder, it's just going to give you basically how many times the number goes into the other number, and it's not going to give you like a decimal. So we're going to do num7 divided by num8, and that's going to give you 1. See? So if you want to find the remainder, we use the percentage sign. So we would do num7 percentage sign num8, and that should give you 7 if you want to find the remainder. So 10 goes into 17 one time, which is why we get 1, and if you divide 10 into 17, it gives you a remainder of 7, because if you take away the 10, all that's left is a 7, and 10 can't go into 7 again, so it gives you a remainder of 7. So that's another very, very useful function, and once you start programming, you're going to see that you're going to fall in many situations where this is very useful. So that's it for numbers. Hope you guys learned a lot. These techniques, these functions, and knowing all this stuff is very crucial in programming. Yeah. And I'll see you guys in the next lesson.